おそらくあなたはすでに一度後ろを確認したでしょう。
You probably already checked behind you once. Most people do. Even when they know this is just audio, their brain still reacts. That's the strange thing about sound. Your eyes can tell you one thing, but your ears can convince you of something completely different, especially when you're alone, especially when you're wearing headphones, especially when the room around you is quiet enough for your imagination to start participating. And right now, your brain is listening for patterns, tiny movements, breathing, distance, direction. Your mind is trying to figure out where I am, in front of you, behind you, close, far away. That instinct is ancient, long before screens, before music, before language itself. Humans survived by listening carefully. A snapped branch in the dark, footsteps behind them, breathing they couldn't explain. Your brain still carries those instincts now, even while sitting safely in a room, even while holding a phone, even while knowing none of this is real. Your nervous system still reacts first. Logic arrives later, and once your attention locks onto sound, something interesting happens. You begin hearing things that weren't important before. The hum of a fan, the air moving slightly around you, a floor creaking somewhere, your own breathing. The tiny sounds inside silence become louder, because silence is never truly silent. There's always something hidden inside it. That's why being alone at night feels different. The world becomes quieter, and your brain fills in the gaps. Every shadow looks intentional. Every sound feels closer than it should. You start noticing the space behind you. Humans don't like not knowing what's behind them. That uncertainty creates tension. Even now, part of your attention is still focused on the space around your body, not the screen, not these words, the room, your environment. You're listening differently now, more carefully, more alert. And the strange part is, once someone points that out, you can't really turn it off. Your brain begins monitoring everything automatically. That feeling is called hyper-awareness, and sound is one of the fastest ways to trigger it, because hearing feels immediate. You can close your eyes, but you can't fully close your ears. Sound enters whether you invite it or not. That's why whispers feel so personal. A whisper isn't just quiet speech. It feels intimate, close, almost invasive, like someone intentionally entered your space. Even digitally, your brain interprets whispers differently from normal voices. They feel secretive, private, sometimes threatening. And when a whisper sounds like it's moving around you, your instincts become confused. Part of your brain knows this is only audio. Another part starts mapping movement around your body anyway. That conflict creates tension. The same kind of tension people feel when walking through an empty house at night, or hearing footsteps upstairs when nobody else should be home. The mind hates uncertainty. It searches constantly for explanations, and when it doesn't find one, it creates possibilities instead. That's why imagination becomes stronger in darkness. Your visual information decreases, so your auditory awareness increases. You listen harder, you react faster, you become sensitive to tiny details, and eventually, ordinary sounds stop feeling ordinary. A distant movement becomes a presence, a soft noise becomes intention, a whisper becomes someone. Even though nothing actually changed, your perception did. And perception controls emotion far more than reality does. Think about that for a second. A horror movie isn't dangerous, but your body reacts anyway. A nightmare isn't real, but your heart still races. A whisper through headphones can make you physically turn around. Even when you know exactly what's happening, suspense is more powerful than revelation. The unknown always feels larger than the known. Your imagination creates details automatically, details far more personal than anything explicitly shown. Right now, your brain is probably visualizing space around you, maybe even checking sounds in your environment against what you're hearing here. That blending effect is powerful. The line between external sound and imagination becomes thinner, especially with headphones, especially in darkness, especially when your attention narrows, and attention is everything. Whatever you focus on begins feeling more important. If you focus on your breathing, you notice every inhale. If you focus on silence, you start hearing hidden noise. If you focus on the idea that someone might be behind you, your awareness changes instantly. Your posture changes too. Some people sit straighter. Some glance over their shoulder. Some pause the video entirely, not because they believe something is there, but because part of the brain prefers certainty. It wants confirmation. That instinct never disappeared. Modern humans still carry ancient survival systems. We're just using them in quieter rooms now. But there's another reason whispers feel unsettling. Whispers remove clarity, and the brain dislikes incomplete information. When words are partially hidden, your mind works harder to interpret them. That effort increases focus. It creates psychological closeness. Sometimes people even imagine hearing words that were never spoken. The brain fills missing gaps automatically. You've probably experienced that before. Hearing your name in random noise, thinking your phone vibrated when it didn't, mistaking distant sounds for voices. The brain constantly predicts reality, and most of the time, it predicts correctly. But in uncertain environments, predictions become less reliable, especially when emotion gets involved. Fear sharpens attention. Curiosity sharpens attention too. And right now, you're experiencing both. You're curious what happens next, but another part of you is still slightly alert, still listening, still aware of the room around you. That combination creates immersion. Not loudness, not jump scares. Immersion. The feeling that something is happening around you instead of inside headphones. And once immersion becomes believable, time feels different. Minutes pass faster. Thoughts become quieter. Your focus narrows. You stop multitasking. That's why audio experiences can feel strangely hypnotic. The mind begins drifting between reality and imagination, between observation and expectation, and eventually you stop analysing the sound and start experiencing it emotionally instead. That transition is subtle but powerful, because emotion creates memory. People rarely remember perfect technical quality. They remember how something made them feel uneasy, calm, curious, safe, observed. That last one is interesting. Humans behave differently when they feel observed, even slightly, even irrationally. The sensation changes awareness immediately. You become conscious of movement, of posture, of silence, and sometimes all it takes is a whisper, not shouting, not danger, just the suggestion of presence. That suggestion alone can reshape perception. You start noticing how large the room feels, how dark certain corners are, how quiet everything became. And the quieter things get, the louder your thoughts become. That's why nighttime amplifies imagination. There are fewer distractions competing for attention. The mind has space to wander, to speculate, to create, and sometimes to unsettle itself. But maybe that's part of why experiences like this are fascinating. People enjoy controlled fear, controlled uncertainty, the sensation of danger without actual danger. reminds us how powerful the mind really is, how easily sound can influence emotion, how quickly awareness can change, how a simple whisper can completely alter the feeling of an empty room. And even now, after hearing all of this, you're probably still aware of the space behind you, maybe more than before, because once attention is directed somewhere, it lingers. That's the strange thing about perception. You don't always choose what feels real. Sometimes your brain decides first, and your logic catches up afterward. So, if you suddenly felt the urge to turn around during this experience, you weren't imagining the reaction. Your brain was doing exactly what it evolved to do. Listening carefully, searching for patterns, protecting you from possibilities, even impossible ones. And now, the room probably feels slightly different than it did before you pressed play. Quieter, closer, more noticeable. Not because the room changed, because your attention did. And attention changes everything.